Government refutes allegations by the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. The communication director of the Education Ministry, his photograph is here. The finder is carrying the same story and says it is false. Government debanks schools privatization claim. And then don't run down Ghana to realize narrow partisan interest. The president talking there at Addis Ababa College anniversary. Daily Graphic has that on the front page. Don't point out mistakes, but don't run down nation. President urges or charges Ghanaians. And 6 new regional administrations start work March ending. The Daily Guide, don't destroy Ghana's image, Akufo-Addo warns. And the BNFT says, city woes stagger the repatriation of profits. The boss of the Private Enterprise Federation there talking. We'll get the opportunity to discuss all these stories. My guest this morning, a member of parliament for the Adaklu constituency, a member of the NDC, Honorable Kwame Agboja is here. Good morning.
Good morning, Bright.
And how was your weekend?
It was not the best.
Right.
2 Sundays ago, sadly, we lost the former MP of Ho East. Ho East is currently a combination of Adaklu and Agotime Eziope.
Right.
Honorable Steve Akoli, after a short illness at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So Adaklu is in a morning state, my party is in a morning state, so I want to take the opportunity to say condolences to the party, especially Adaklu constituency and Agotime Eziope. So I'm not in a... It hasn't been a very beautiful weekend for us. But apart from that, we thank God for everything.
All right. Our condolences too. And then a member of parliament for Nsuom Addo-Ejiri, a member of the MPP, Honorable Frank Anadon-Breah is also here. Good morning too.
Good morning, Bright.
And your weekend?
It was okay, apart from the disaster recorded, the Ethiopia airline, and also take the opportunity to extend my condolence to the people of Adaklu and the immediate family for the former MP that we've lost. Apart from that, we are surviving.
It is well. Grateful for your time with us. Let's quickly, you can spend a minute or two on this. The 157 lives lost, I mean, tragic. Ethiopian airline is virtually the Emirates of Africa. 157 lives lost. A quick one on that, then we can move on.
Well, thank you, Bright. We actually share the transport committee. I mean, myself and the respected chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament, Honorable Anadon-Breah, actually.
He's a ranking.
And we serve on the transport committee. So we, because it's an industry matter, we got wind of this quite earlier, and it's quite sad. Ethiopian Airline has been doing something that most of us, including Ghana, is yet to do. That is to build an airline around a state, not necessarily a state-owned,
right,
but which is successful, which is expanding by the day. And I know Ghanaian, we have been talking to them on some collaboration in terms of bringing back Ghana Airways or a national flag carrier kind of a thing. And the news of this horrific disaster is just unbearable, knowing very well the aircraft is, I'm told, is less than 4 months old.
Right. It's a new one.
Yes, it's a new one, and there's no reason why this should happen. So people are pointing fingers at 2 things. Is this something that Boeing should look at? But it's early days yet. But the fact that we lost so many lives in one when there was no issue about weather or anything, people are pointing fingers at mechanical. We have to wait until we get to that point. But sadly, it's happened, and condolences to everybody, especially. We can't afford to have any problem with people not flying. You and I can't get around the world without it. So whatever we can do to ensure that people have confidence in the fact that the safest mode of transportation, as even in this disaster, is air travel, then we can move on and ensure that whatever it is can be removed to make air travel even safer than we have
now. For you, I mean, we sit on the committee. This is very, very bad news.
It is. I mean, I was devastated. I couldn't have agreed more with Kwame. If you look at the history, what Ethiopia Airlines has been doing, I mean, it's almost like the star of Africa, you know. And I recall the last time we met the sector minister, who gave wind of the fact that there's already discussion ongoing, but advanced. We're looking at the possibility of collaboration with the Ethiopian airline. So they are more or less the example that we are all seeking to emulate, particularly in Africa. So it was strange, particularly if you look at the snippet of information that came in, that it has taken off just barely 10 minutes, and then it happened like that. It's very sad, very, very sad for Africa and the world as well, as large. But we will wait patiently for a thorough investigation to be conducted. Some of these things you can't come atop the situation until investigation is concluded. What I can say is that it will also it will have to nudge the aviation industry in the world, and particularly in Africa,
to wake up.
To wake up. This is the wake-up call for us to pay some attention to some concerns. I know of, I'm not an expert in this area, but I've read about software that are used in a lot of the communications. And going forward, we need to look at it. It's a wake-up call, Ghana, Africa, and the world at large. And I'm even planning to put together a statement to be, if the speaker, is kind enough and is admitted, I'm sure it will be delivered. And then hopefully, he is part of leadership of the committee. We'll probably have to meet with the sector minister to come and tell us something. I mean, we cannot pretend nothing has happened, or because the Ghanaian citizen is not involved, we go to sleep. It's a wake-up call. Kwame mentioned that it's a relatively new
it's a new aircraft.
It's a new aircraft. Yeah. But fact be told, right, when you travel more often, and I don't want to mention any names, some of the aircraft, the domestic aircraft, and you look at the nature of it, sometimes it raises some question marks. And I think there should be a big wake-up call onto us, that we begin to revert our mind to the nature of the aircraft, not just the aircraft, other ancillary services that are involved. It's a big industry. The risks that is involved is huge, because the least thing, the effect will be there. And I think that it's a big wake-up call to the world at large for us to begin to take a proper look at the aviation industry again.
Right.
Right, just
especially the magnitude of it.
We are also aware that another one from that range, a new range, also had a disaster not too long ago. It fell into the sea somewhere. And that one, yes, exactly. And the suggestion is that maybe Boeing is world class. They do all sorts of very important things. I'm sure there are probably more aircraft in the air from a single manufacturer as Boeing than anybody else. But they probably need to, and they will look at whether it's anything to do with mechanical or avionics. Industry players are pointing fingers at certain automations that did not allow the pilot to take control of certain things, because a lot of people don't know the technicalities about aircraft. It's quite a simple thing, but then if it goes wrong as well, and it's on automation at 35,000 or 30,000 feet, it's not that easy to correct. So maybe they should just look at it, and in fact, ironic. The committee in Parliament basically was working on a bill just last week, just to also bring Ghana's ability to investigate aircraft accidents and serious incidents, and we have just on Friday we passed a legislation to allow the minister to set up an investigation committee to look into those things if it happens in Ghana, and also make sure we put funds aside for them to be able to do that, so that it's not like, it's happened and somebody says, we did not have the money, so that is why we are not able to do this investigation. So I think we should look at this as a very important thing, and work towards the way to ensure that our own airspace is safe. He mentioned some of the aircraft we travel on domestically, and we've complained at the committee level many times that some of them probably may not be airworthy. But hey, this is a new one also falling. So let's just do what's right.
Right.
Just a quick, I would just support a brief what Kwame said about the structures. You know, Nigeria, they have that structure of an independent body that goes into such investigations.
If it happens.
When it happens. And I think, not necessarily when it happens, but it should also be, so they become reactionary. A bit of proactive nature of it is also much more important. A certain independent body which will not be so much aligned, but yet will be able to look and play some proper oversight role and ensuring that when things are happening will be nudged accordingly, but not waiting until it happens before they go in for the investigation. Nigeria has an example, and we can learn from them.
Grateful. Daily Graphic this morning, point out mistakes, but don't run down nation. President charges Ghana. Now, the Daily Graphic is reporting at this other college, 109 years, the president was there. Now, he urged Ghanaians to have the courage to point out the mistakes of persons running the affairs of state. However, he said that must not be used as an opportunity to run down the nation. When those put in charge of running the affairs of the state get it wrong, we must have the courage, the humility, and the selflessness to say so. That is our patriotic duty. We should also not be seen at every given opportunity to be running down our nation merely to realize our narrow, parochial, and partisan interest. That is not acceptable. That's the president talking. Honorable Dombre, let me start this conversation with you. This is the president suggesting that we should criticize those in charge of affairs, but not find ways to run down the nation. Have governments been that acceptable to certain criticisms? And I mean governments.
Well, you see, I think that, to be fair, I'm not sure the president is directing his call to any individual. It's a generic statement he made, and I think it is on point. It's apt for a sitting president to make that statement. The clarion call urging us to, in as much as we are showing our dissenting views on all manner of issues, we should also have the fundamentals right. And the bottom line is that we have a nation to build. So we shouldn't do things that will denigrate or unnecessarily paint our country in a very bad picture. All over the world, even in the developed jurisdictions, they have some challenges. But when they speak, and the opposition is speaking, and other people's industry players, civil society, they are speaking to it. They are all always responsible and taking the ultimate goal of protecting the integrity of our country. But of late, if you look at the media landscape, and sometimes some of the things that we read, it becomes too sensational. I would, and the president, if you look at his past, his history, he's been one of the people who have been part of the struggle in institutionalizing this our democratic dispensation. So he would not be the type who will say that let's gag people. He will entertain views, however unpalatable it may be, even within his own party. If you appreciate the struggle he's gone through to become the flag bearer and all that he's gone through, it has built him. But I'm saying that it appears, I couldn't have agreed more with the president, it appears there's a certain attitude of people indulging unnecessarily in sensationalism. Painting a certain their picture of the state of affairs, and that doesn't help us. For instance, and with the greatest respect to our former president, I respect him. I would never raise a thing against the former president, but I was alarmed when the former president, for instance, gathered diplomats, and then he showed a purported video. Even some part of the video turned out not to be true, but largely it was true. But you see, if you do that as a former president, and here, I'm sorry, the discussion seems to be hovering around the former president. I don't think that he is a target, no. But from that action alone, it's something that I've struggled to understand. Because, you see, by-election violence has been with us for some time now. Okay? I'm not saying this to justify it. But if you will be fair, all precedent, this is the first time against all odds. When you listen to our brothers in the minority, they have said that the commission of inquiry wasn't necessary, and that there was a case of criminal prosecution that we needed to go ahead and prosecute. The president thought otherwise, which I agree with him, that no, it wasn't more, the matter goes beyond just the mere prosecution. We needed to understand, and if you listen, you have followed what happened at the Shorts Commission, it is bringing up a lot of trivial revelations. So we are getting to understand that no, that there is more to what happened than what was reported in the media. So if this thing happened and then quickly you gather foreign diplomats and you show this thing to them, it doesn't speak well. Now recently, what happened at our colleague's office in Kumasi, we're out of it. We realized somebody had died out of it. One would have thought that the president would have the former president would have taken footage of this and also showed it to the media. We need to be a bit more careful and be a bit more sensitive to the fact that we have a reputation, we have the Ghanaian brand that we all need to protect. Because if you visit outside the jurisdiction, the kind of respect of the Ghanaian, other Africans, and even beyond the frontiers of Africa, other nationals across the world, the kind of respect they accord Ghana, we need to maintain that respect. Let's do our politicking, but the bottom line is that let's be careful some of the things we put out there to the outside world about our country. We also need to celebrate the good side of this country. In the sub-region, Ghana is a shining example, take it or leave it. Notwithstanding all our difficulties to overcome poverty, to be able to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor and all the likes. We are still being respected, and that is something we need to maintain. For some time now, our bid to win international slots on positions at the UN, African Union, has come under challenge because the Francophone countries have come together against some of the Anglophone countries, and Ghana particularly has become a target because they think that, oh, Ghana is getting all the laurels, Ghana is getting all the attention. So the president's call is not directed to anybody, but I just cited the example of the former president. But I think that journalists and other industry players should be a bit more careful about the reputation of our country, even whilst they criticize.
Is it not a situation of the father is there, this is happening, then we tell the father, this is what is happening, do something, and then the father fails to do something, and so perhaps they are compelled to also decide on what to do?
No, right. But to be fair, I don't think that this government has shown any antics of a dead goat syndrome. More often than not, the president has listened. Look, how humble could the president have been to say that I have spoken to my party leadership to speak to the NDC leadership for a meeting, and then he went ahead and says that if this thing doesn't succeed, I will be compelled to bring a legislation. I don't know what else the president could have done.
Some have argued with that. We have all the laws to deal with this, and that we don't need, any other legislation. So perhaps they are saying that, Mr. President, don't bring in any legislation, but the law is there, let the law work.
But you see, it's a human institution, and let's also be a bit more cautious and considerate in our criticism. The violence that is being perpetuated is visiting our elections, electoral processes. It just didn't happen by the stroke of the pen. Both political parties, fact be told, unless we are pretending, both political parties have benefited from this. Right or wrong. Both political parties, my brother, the NDC have benefited, the NPP have also benefited. But we cannot continue unending. We must come to a point where we say that enough is enough. And the president has shown the way. Which of the laws that are available that are supposed to be used that we have not used? Is it about violence and criminal prosecution? The president feels that but it is lawful that even while the Commission of Inquiry's investigation is ongoing, it doesn't stop anybody from going on the criminal prosecution. The commission will reveal more than prosecution. So it will not just be like putting people behind the bars, but we need to understand the dynamics of what happened. Now, as I speak, maybe I have to conclude. As I speak, the National Youth Organizer of our party and the national organizer are on the field. beginning to set the process in place to ensure that we disband all these vigilante groups and all have you. So there is a goodwill that has been shown. I think that a corresponding goodwill from our brothers, in the minority, will help us resolve this matter, and we can make progress.
I'm grateful. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk about the president's response to the letter written by the chairman of the NDC. But Kwame, so the president says, criticize what we do, but he is suggesting that don't do it to run down the nation. And I'm asking, is it not a matter of sometimes government inability to take criticism in good faith that sometimes seem to bring out that kind of people trying to do all they can to get attention?
Right. I think this, I don't expect the president to say anything different. The president is under scrutiny for his own conduct. And let me take this opportunity to dispel the notion that anybody is running down Ghana. This president, when he was an opposition leader, toured the world and met leaders of the world and complained bitterly about what was happening in Ghana. In fact, in 2015, for instance, on 20th May or something, if I can remember, he was in Germany meeting the German chancellor when he was not even the president, complaining about so many things in Ghana. You understand? And who would blame him for that? He's a leader of a political party. He would try to do whatever will get the world's attention as to why he should be the president, or why he, if he were to be in charge of Ghana, how things would have been better. So first of all, it is not true that President Mahama hasn't gone to any country to run down Ghana. Rather, there's record of how many presidents or leaders of the world President Akufo-Addo met when he was a candidate and ran down Ghana, and the records are there. The president talking about criticize me and not criticize me but not run down Ghana, I don't get it. You are the same person who not too long ago said you don't respond to aspirants, yet you are using the so-called comments aspirants made as a basis of running down Ghana. Since when did the president acknowledge the fact that you don't even have to be a presidential candidate contesting an election before you can point out the ills in our society? I don't expect people in Adaklu to be aspiring to be members of parliament or anything before they criticize me if they so wish, or if they feel I've done something wrong. Because we have equal rights in this country, and if things go wrong, it goes wrong for all of us. The third thing is that you should understand that the president did not volunteer information on the ills in our society. If I want to zoom into just the vigilantism and the militia, building of private militia in this country, the president did not volunteer information based upon which he would have said that, oh, okay, you know what, even I gave you this information, why are you abusing the information? The public needed to dig the information. I agree with my brother when he says that stories about, problems at by-elections are not new in our country. But I don't remember at any time in our history where a by-election was conducted and the government took a deliberate decision to create an illegal force, military force, sidestep the police, took them there, armed them, and unleashed them on the people, on the people to the extent of beating up a member of parliament in the glare of the world. Until today, that gentleman who is a known operative of NPP is still free. In fact, the police have to walk to his office to take a statement from him, not arrest him. That gentleman should have been in a cage by now. But because he belongs to the president's talk, he's free. And you tell me that bringing out that injustice is running down this country, then we're going to run this country down based on things like that for the people, the world to know that this is not Ghanaian. We don't tolerate things like that. When you take a situation where, for instance, that happened, and the gentleman who assaulted our colleague goes out to say that the guns you saw me holding, I grabbed it from a police passerby. It wasn't given to me by the state. How many times have you seen in this country before that you and I can walk on the street and see a policeman holding a gun and say, give me the gun, let me go and do an operation and come back and bring it to you? These are the inconsistencies in the thing. And you see, the president wants to project an image which he's not, which is like, I'm law-abiding, I take criticism, all that you have heard about me building a private militia is not true, it's just some miscreant in my party. No, these are people that the president knows on daily basis. You understand? Would have been easier for me if Nanka Bruce, who was assaulted on the day the president was being sworn in, if we could seek justice for that, that would have given me an impression that the president is up for something. Thirdly, when you talk about what was happening at the, how do you call it, the castle, where one side of castle is investigating vigilantism, and another side is being used to train thousands of them. And you tell me that the president, the commander-in-chief of the Ghana forces, says that he is not aware, and his operatives are speaking from all sides of their mouth. One person says it doesn't exist. One person says that it exists, that we disbanded them long ago. One person says that, oh, they're actually not militants, they are just a private organization. And then another person says that actually the castle is not a security zone. Even if you go there today, nobody walks into castle because it still holds sensitive government organizations, including some ministers or government appointees operate from there. So the president, sadly, he's not the one who is going to tell us to criticize him or not. The guarantee of us criticizing our leaders is enshrined in the Constitution. We don't look up to the president to give us that guarantee. So the president, as a lawyer himself, knows that it is not a president that gives me, or my brother, the right to question things that are happening in this country. But lastly, for me, I ask myself, if, for instance, one of the gentlemen who have been training people at the castle, a security zone, using a government facility to train a private militia, the commander-in-chief can agree that one of the trainers I'm told he doesn't work directly with him anymore, was his personal bodyguard, and that person is also free. Are you sure that NDC or NPP or Bright could have taken people to the castle to be trained as even ordinary security men and will be allowed? If that information comes out, do you know what they will do? You would have been locked up by now. But because it is a state institution, and this is where Ghanaians must wake up. We are told the numbers, security experts are telling us that the numbers are in thousands. And they are training these people for every constituency. And we've seen letters of people being recruited to be trained to protect ballot boxes and other things. So if you watch this and say it's about NDC, NPP, they are there again talking about their thing. Will you be at the polling station in 2020 when the problem will start, when these people are brought in instead of the proper police to protect the ballot? Would you guarantee that when it becomes an issue, you will not be caught up in that problem? If you feel the answer would be that you don't know whether you'll be there, then take steps to encourage this government that there's no evidence that CPP, PPP, NDC is training any group anywhere in this country for the purpose of protecting the ballot. It is only NPP. And this is the first time that we have seen a government in power disrespect and have no loyalty to the state security agencies to the extent that they are building a parallel militia because they don't trust the police. The commander-in-chief doesn't trust the army. This is why I'm saying that this is a serious matter, and the president, what does the president need NDC to do in terms of vigilantism?
Well, he says the two parties have been beneficiaries of this vigilantism.
No.
So they need to.
Which of the people who were beating up people at Awaso Wagon is a member of NDC? Which of the people who are being trained at the castle background are NDC? This is not a general problem in the country. This is a deliberate attempt by the president. And you see the sad thing, we have only seen the one at the castle. The ones that are being trained on people's farm, people's backyard, we don't know. So to tell me that as long as NDC and NPP decide to sit somewhere else, in fact, at the time that they are sitting, they are training them. Just as they say, the case that when the Emil Short committee was sitting in one side of the castle doing this thing, the President Akufo-Addo's men were training even thousands of vigilantes this thing. I, as a person, do not trust the President 1 inch on this matter.
We'll come to talk about it because the National Security Minister is suggesting that they are just not. So,
I think that my colleague Kwame is unnecessarily playing up emotions. First of all, facts be told, okay? As I earlier on said, visitation of violence in by-elections has always been ongoing. It's been happening.
Yeah, he concedes to
It's been happening. Let's concede to that fact. Now, which president will say that let's a commission of inquiry and then it's being telecasted live for everybody, every Ghanaian to see, and yet you say that the president has something to hide? First of all, I disregard what he says. So to say that, oh, across the country, every constituency, private security groups are being trained to protect the MPP. That is not true. If you listen to the narration that came on, even before the committee set out to work, we were told that there were people, even the tapes that have come out, if you listen, clearly there was a conscious effort by our brothers to bring some private militiamen to be camped in the house of the candidate who contested Ayawa. So that is a fact. It came out from their own video. So I am not comfortable when people say that, well, the president is hiding something. There is no militia in Ghana. There is no militia group in Ghana. If you look at the true definition of militia groups, there is nothing like that in Ghana. In as much as I would disregard and not accept the castle being used for such trainings, I don't think we have enough evidence to say that people are training private militia people to go and, visit mayhem and violence on people. So we have to be a bit more cautious. I am saying that this is a credit to the president. That one, you can't take it. A credit in the sense that the president has shown a certain decision, a certain determination to fight this violence. He has shown it. Why? President Mahama, during his term, didn't he have by-elections? Chereponi and the likes. I've witnessed by-elections at Etiwa. Broad daylights, gunshot, I was attacked. No, the police would not even investigate. Today we have a commission of inquiry where it is being chaired by high court judges investigating this matter. And you say that the president has not done well. You are not being fair to the president. Look, what we need to do.
You do not think that our inability to
the inconsistency
is a cause of
right. The inconsistency is rather coming from our brothers in the minority. When he alludes to inconsistency, at one point you have rubbished the commission of inquiry and said that no, the president needs to go out there, that he knows the people who have caused the mayhem, they used to ensure that the people are being arrested. And therefore the commission of inquiry, nothing is going to come out of it. So you're not even going to participate in the commission of inquiry. When they started working and you realize the genuinity with which the people were working, now you are cooperating. Let's for once support this action by the president and the call by the president to all the parties. The NDC are saying that they need a third party to be involved in these negotiations. We are already, as I already alluded to, we are already on the field, ensuring that these groups are disbanded. Let them show same commitment. Is he going to tell us that the Azoka boys, they are not NDC? You see, when you play innocent and then you speak as if, as for you are clean, it is the MPP who have a problem, then we will never make progress with this. And let me put on record, this is the president who has shown commitment to the security agencies. The last time, over a lot of equipment that was being given to the army and the police. Look, go to my constituency, the police are being given vehicles to work. And you tell him the president is not committed. He's rather committed to private security men. Then I think that you are rather showing inconsistency.
Let's tie that. I want you to tie that into
I am confident.
The National Security Minister's issue that the group at the castle is not a militia. That they're just a group that gathers there looking for jobs. You see,
fact be told, I mean, that cannot be a defense. I'm not going to sit on TV and then what is wrong, you say that is right. No. But I am also not going to accept when people make unnecessary innuendos and then assert things that cannot be proven. When he said he cannot trust the president, the president is rather showing loyalty to private security men. I think that was a worst statement that would have come from my respected colleague. Look, whatever it is, we were young men looking for jobs, for them to have gone and trained or had a full day or some exercise at the castle, it was out of place. It is something that we don't have to support. It is out of place. We don't have to support. Whoever is at the leadership should be brought to book. That is my comment to that. But nobody can say that we have militia group in Ghana now.
Let me.
That is too much. I mean, it's a very sensational comment to make.
Let me read what Mr. Brian Champon said. Now, he's saying that we're also aware that Nana Kwalia's Choman started his company from his former secretariat at the castle, where we warned him on 2 occasions and arrested him, threw him out of the office, and shut it down in October. On our 3rd encounter with him, it has not come to our notice that he had access to the office since. This is someone who is done or engaged in an illegality, and the person is still there. Does it not then give one the chance to question why someone engaged in an illegality is still doing the same thing?
You see, Bright, and I don't like doing this. I try to be fair to the fact.
Right.
But we live in this country where a while ago we had party apparatchiks going after public institutions, toilets. Public institutions were at the beck and call of party apparatchiks during the reign of our brothers. Did you ever hear anybody being sent to court? Did you ever hear anybody being prosecuted? This is the time we've had worse cases. People going to take control court premises. Most of them have been sent to courts. They've been tried. There have been charges preferred. People have been punished for wrongdoing. You see, there are some good things happening in our country. We need to support them.
But in this case, the man we're talking about is still there.
That is. I'm surprised, especially coming from Brian himself, that he was once arrested and warned, and he's still doing what he's doing. I think the security couples will also have to up their game. You know, they have to up their game. For me, nobody can come and defend what happened at the castle. It is wrong. It is totally wrong. It's something that we shouldn't support. But this is, I think it's this exuberant party youth who were just out there, but it's a security zone. That area shouldn't have been used for that. But for anybody to say that it is getting a tear support from the president knows about it. The president is supporting them. The president is showing disloyalty to security agencies. It's the worst statement I've heard this morning. It's the worst.
Kwame, he says that you linking what is happening to the presidency isn't right.
Well, let's go back a step. We started this with the president saying don't run down the country. And I've given you why I said I don't trust the president on this. And I gave you the fact that the president have been, met leaders of the state, other countries, and made comments. Let me bring it back home. What did the president say about the relocation of the Gitmo into this country? You saw the comment that things like these things would lead to terrorism in Ghana and all those things.
Did you say that?
Well, I mean, you are bringing terrorists. His party took a position which is known on this matter. Today, where are those people? Have they thrown them out of this country? Then I'm saying that those were the things that drew the attention of the world. It's as if Ghana was harboring terrorists that could harm us. But let's move on. My brother, what's happening at the castle? I want to avoid saying what happened because as far as I'm aware, nothing has changed in the president's attempt to build a parallel force. And I'm saying this because whilst you were talking about setting a committee to investigate the Ayawaso terrorism, which was sitting at one side of the castle, the commander-in-chief's men and women were training people at the other side of the castle for his own purpose. If you watch the video that Manasseh put out, you could see one of the commanders saying that the last time we deployed you, being the militants, to a state function that the president attended, according to the video, he asked, are those my men that are being trained at the castle? And when he was told yes, he was happy.
This is on the video and that's put out.
This wasn't on the video. But is that why you want...
You also have that?
Yes.
Right, you have that?
Yes, I had on the video.
Yes.
Is that why you want to link it to the president?
And I'm saying that the person who was making this comment was the president's own man. That the president was happy to see how professional you guys were. So if I sit on this and say that the president doesn't trust the state security, I am saying it on the basis that, based on those things, the president probably believed that these miscreants that, according to him, performed better, were better than the police. So giving a saloon car to the police, look, did you listen to Dr. Agozo? When he says, and he wasn't speaking about NDC or NPP, he says that the security architecture of this country is such that they are abused in a sense that they are unable to do what they ought to do as security agencies. So you ask the question, the guy who actually assaulted Sam George, in another jurisdiction, that gentleman wouldn't have been going to work today, should have been in a cage. Two, when you have a situation where the president's personal bodyguard, and I don't know whether...
He's no more the bodyguard.
Look, my brother, I don't follow the president. I don't know who is his bodyguard. Well, maybe he's been reassigned or he's been sacked or whatever. I don't know. Has been using a state facility, a security zone for that matter, for a purpose. And even the security agencies, the police, the military, national security could not have the ability to drive him out. It just summarizes the state in which we are as in terms of security. It means that the commander-in-chief has lost the ability even to discipline his own people. And the question I put to you is this: are you confident that for what is happening from now and in 1.5 years, 2 years time when we go to the polls, are you confident that this president have the will to protect everybody, or is he basically focused on winning a second term and can do anything, or die be die? And in fact, they use the example of Nigeria. They said that Buhari did all the wrong things, he won, and the opposition can go to court. And today, I've noticed something. The slightest thing you do, then people will tell you go to court. Maybe they think that the courts are for them. I understand.
Well, that's an allegation.
Oh, yeah, sure. Because, of course, the money to kick out, how do you call it, Madam Osei, on frivolous account, and installed an electoral commissioner I call a full soldier of NPP. Yeah. She's nothing but a full soldier of NPP, Madam Jean Mensa.
Kwame, I'm grateful. Let me get Honorable Dompe to wrap up. Just a few seconds.
Yes, my conclusion is simple. If somebody says that we succeeded in getting out,
and there's a court that
so let him correct himself. And as a member of parliament, we shouldn't be saying this.
People can be sacked
on the Gitmo too. Let me put on record. We disagreed on principle that it should have gone through parliament, and the court agreed with us. It should have gone through parliament, and President Mahama disrespected parliament. So that was our point, that he should have respected parliament.
So are they here or they are gone?
Well, you know, they have gone through a process. They are in this country.
Still here.
The agreement was brought to parliament. Parliament, of which he is part, ratified that agreement. So what is he talking about?
So the question is, are they here or they are gone?
Oh, they are here.
They are here.
They are here. Look,
the agreement in parliament.
We said that take the matter to parliament. You refuse. The court said that take it back to parliament, and a law-abiding government had ensured that parliament had ratified it. I'm going to call on our security couples that they have to be careful and what some of these excesses. I know the president means well. He has a very good conscience in terms of development of our country, and the president doesn't need so-called militiamen to win. He's already prosecuted very good policies that the good people of this country can feel and see. It will not take Kwame Agbodza to sit on TV and play to emotions for people to vote against the president. The people of this country trust the president, and they know how genuine he is when it comes to security protection.
He's a member of parliament for Nswim Adoejiri, Honorable Frank Anodo. He's also the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament. Honorable Kwame Obuja is the MP for Adako.
And he's a ranking
member on the committee. I'm grateful for your time this morning. Stay with us.